I first started working for the Village Hempstead 10 years ago, I met Ruthie, and I liked her immediately. Look at that smile. Is that not the most infectious smile you've ever seen in your life? She has such a warmth about her that when you meet her, you say, I gotta get to know this woman. And now I get the pleasure of introducing her as she shares with us one of her poems.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
This poem is dedicated to every woman in here, every woman in the village, every woman in the nation, every woman in the world. Whispering willows, black lace and pearls, red and white roses, all for the girls. Laboring and forging ahead in the line of competition and dread. Wake up, my sisters, and persevere on, because it's not over. We are the storm. Whispering willows, black lace, and pearls. We are always in the forefront. We rule the world. Enduring pain, we fight through the struggle. We live, we love, we suffer. We scrape from the bottom to make ends meet. We fall off, but we land on our feet. We are spiritual creatures with inherent intuition. We have the ability to view our own visions. Whispering willows, black lace and pearls. We can change our image just by doing our hair from nappy to straight, sometimes curls. We won't be defined by what you think we know or do, but by the strength we have in supporting you. Whispering willows, black lace and pearls. Don't worry about nothing, 'cause we got this, girls. We are women, valued by all, and by the grace of God, we will never fall.
Representation of the Hempstead that I grew up in. This is when the cameras need to be out here. This is what we need to capture. These strong sisters from Hempstead representing Hempstead. My name is Shelley Brazeley, and I'm here to represent County Executive Mangano. And on behalf of Mr. Mangano, I don't think I'm going to read this. It's a citation. You'll know what it says. But on behalf of County Executive Mangano and the extended family of Nassau County, I just want to say that I am so proud to stand here and present these to you fabulous sisters. Most of you I kind of hung out with in growing up here, but for those of you that I don't know, I'm proud. Feeding the homeless, doing what you guys do for the betterment of this village is awesome. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
It is a privilege to be in a position to even be here tonight, honoring women that have contributed so mightily to our community. Since I accepted the invitation to speak here, I began thinking about all of the women who have been trailblazers throughout history, as well as many of the women of excellence that are here in the village of Hempstead. With that said, I'd like to extend my congratulations to Vanessa Henry, Tanya McDougall, Michelle Esquenazi, got it right? And Detective Melva Fongley. I wish you my heartfelt congratulations, lady. When you look at the village of Hempstead and our surrounding area, it's actually not difficult to find a variety of accomplished women in leadership positions. Our village justice, myself, a woman, our village attorney, Deborah Urban DeSalvo, our village clerk is a woman, as well as many of the village department heads are all women as well. We also have, outside of the village, but close by, lots of women that also serve as wonderful examples. Our town of Hempstead Councilwoman Dorothy Gooseby made history as the first woman of color elected to the town council, and she's currently the senior councilwoman and the longest serving council member on the council. We have Deputy Speaker Earlene Hooper, who also was the lone woman of color representing an area outside of the city for several years until she was recently joined by legislator, Assemblywoman Michael Salages. So we've had women, or examples of women close to home that are showing us progress and empowerment. We have in our civic associations and
Speak in the mic, they can't hear you in the back.
I'll be hunching over. We have in our There's only so much I can do. We see women of empowerment and women in leadership positions within our local Democratic parties. We see women leading the NAACP. We see women heading our civic associations. And so in that, one would think that, well, we've come this far. The work or the fight for equality for women must be done. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Women in this country still earn only, as the mayor pointed out, 79% of what their male counterparts earn. The strong opposition to creating legislation that affords women paid maternity leave and the stigma that women face within the workforce when they leave to take care of their children continues to impede our economic advancement as well as our independence. Further, it is still quite commonplace that throughout a woman's journey to success, she is challenged by both men and women alike. We experience challenges to our competence or our authority solely because of our gender. In my professional life, I'm faced with individuals, whether they be attorneys, litigants, or sometimes even judges, who respond to me differently because I'm a woman of color. The most common microaggression that I'm faced with is, oh, you don't look like a judge, which I interpret as code for a judge is supposed to be a male and not supposed to be you. Despite the successes that I have achieved in a field that remains dominated by males, I still experience people questioning and limiting my ambition because of my gender, or much worse, assuming that I'm only in my position because I'm a woman, because they need to check that box. I do not wish for my remarks to be construed as a complaint. One thing that is crystal clear to me is that I have experienced opportunity that most women, especially women of color, around the world could not even imagine, and I thank God for that every day. I recognize that I and all women that are capable of doing so must continue to pursue opportunities for the advancement of women. And we must do this because we belong to a sisterhood that comprises 3.5 billion women around the world. And these women do not all have the same opportunities that we have. There are women that do not have the right to an education. There are women that do not have right to work outside of the home. There are women that do not have the right to vote still. There are women that do not have the right to make decisions about their own bodies. There are women that cannot make any decision independent of a man. And we owe it to those women to break through every barrier that life puts in our way so that those voiceless women can hope for a better life because they are currently in crisis. Around the world, 62 million girls are not in school. They're denied an education solely because they're women. Globally, 1 in 3 women will experience gender-based violence in her lifetime. In the developing world, 1 in 7 girls will be married before the age of 15, and many of them are married at the age of 8 or 9 years old. Again, with no voice, no vote about that. While women make up more than 40% of the agricultural labor force, only 3% are actual landholders. In Africa, women-owned enterprises make up as little as 10% of all businesses, and this number drops to 3% in Asia. Despite representing half of the global population, women comprise less than 20% of the world's legislators. Growing up in a privileged society, it's easy to take certain freedoms for granted. We quickly forget that access to a quality education is not universal, especially for women of the world. Equal education, besides being a basic human right, is an essential tool for achieving social change, improved health, and decision-making. The high rate of illiteracy and lack of education in most developing countries remains a severe impediment to the advancement of women and these nations as a whole. While there are certain governments, political parties, and even religious groups that oppose women having leadership positions, this only serves to hurt us all. The young Pakistani activist Malala Yousafzai aptly states, "We cannot succeed when half of us is held back." When women participate in civil society and politics, governments are more open, democratic, and responsive to citizens. When women are at the negotiating table, peace agreements are more inclusive and durable. And simply by empowering women farmers with the same access to land, new technologies, and capital as men, we can increase crop yields by as much as 30% to help feed a starving world. For societies to thrive, women and girls must have access to education, healthcare, and technology. They must have control of resources, lands, and markets. And they must have equal rights and equal opportunities as breadwinners, peace builders, and leaders. So with that understanding, what must we all do to continue to move the progress of women forward for the benefit of society as a whole? I have some suggestions. We must continue to support women obtaining leadership positions, whether it be in our local organizations, churches, corporations, government, and in the judiciary. We must commit to supporting women when they are in these positions and not undermine their authority or their success. We must be mindful of the message that we send to our youth, particularly our boys, when we tell them to man up or don't act like a girl, as this only serves to create another generation that does not value women. We must be outraged when we exist in a society when an individual that's running for president would actually stand up at a rally and refer to another candidate by a derogatory term to describe a woman's genitalia. We should not be prostituted in that manner, and we're being disrespected as well as the person that insult is being levied at. And we must stand up and be outraged about that word, as well as other words that are freely used in our society. The word that refers to a woman as a female dog, the word that's akin to referring to a woman as a garden tool. When we hear these words, we must be offended by them, and we must challenge individuals that use them so casually, so again, that they will become as obsolete as Old English. I do not delude myself in thinking that I have all the answers in how to solve gender equality, but I'm confident that if we remain purposeful in our intention to achieve this end, change is going to come. So with that said, while we've heard great original poetry, I'm not blessed with that talent, but I will leave you with the words of one of my personal sheroes, Maya Angelou, who has a poem about equality. And it says, "You declare you see me dimly through a glass which will not shine, though I stand before you boldly, trim in rank and marking time. You do not own to hear me faintly as a whisper out of range, while my drums beat out the message and the rhythms never change. Equality, and I will be free. Equality, and I will be free. You announce my ways are wanton, that I fly from man to man. But if I'm just a shadow to you, could you ever understand? We have lived a painful history. We know the shameful past. But I keep on marching forward, and you keep on coming last. Equality, and I will be free. Equality, and I will be free. Take the blinders from your vision. Take the padding from your ears, and confess you've heard me crying, and admit you've seen my tears. Hear the tempo so compelling. Hear the blood throb in my veins. Yes, my drums are beating nightly, and the rhythms never change. Equality, and I will be free. Equality, and I will be free." Thank you all. Happy